What's happening in the African nation of Niger is an absolute geopolitical game changer. Gang, this is huge, and I'm going to show you exactly why a very new world is rising up right before our very eyes. Last Wednesday, members of the Nigerian military staged a coup ousting their president, Mohamed Bazoum, who was elected 2 years ago in Niger's first democratic transfer of power since they gained independence from France back in August of 1960. As of Friday, the military announced that General Abdourahmane Chiani was the official leader of the nation. On Sunday, a pro-coup crowd began surrounding and eventually storming the French embassy in their capital city, setting a door to the embassy ablaze and chanting pro-Russian slogans and waving Russian flags before military members broke up the protest. Now, this homage to Russia is no accident. Just last week, the Russia-African Summit took place in St. Petersburg, where every African country sent representatives, with 17 major African leaders present. The summit came on the heels of an official conference entitled Russia and Africa in a Multipolar World, with delegations from 40 African nations in attendance. There, Putin announced that Russia would be forgiving billions of dollars of African debt, and this is key as a gesture of solidarity in their support for traditional moral values and the resistance against the insanity of the woke West. Putin on both occasions reiterated Russia's commitment to strengthening its ties with African nations, highlighting Russia's consistent support for anti-imperialist and anti-colonial movements during the Soviet era. By contrast, France has reportedly threatened to send troops into Niger to try to quell the coup and reinstate Mohamed Bazoum. And so, in retaliation for the alleged threat from France, the new Nigerian government has just announced that they were suspending all exports of uranium and gold to France. Now, keep in mind, Niger is the world's 7th largest producer of uranium, and France, which relies on nuclear energy for 75% of its power, is a significant importer. So this is a major blow to France's economy, and it's being considered a major escalation in the whole ordeal. However, something even more significant is happening here, something that directly points to a new world political order rising in our very midst. But first, did you know that we can all use our elites' corruption decisively against them for our own benefit? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Companies like BlackRock, they've been bribing corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi with insider trading secrets for decades now. They know a whole host of trading secrets that gives them an unfair advantage when picking stocks. But did you know that thanks to a little-known SEC database, guess what? We can have access to those very same secrets as well. We get to see what stocks these corporate CEOs are buying up in real time and then piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves that Pelosi and the crooks in D.C. have. My friend Ross Givens has been tracking insider trading for years, and his recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. And now it's your turn. Click on that link below right now and learn how you too can trade like Pelosi. Click on that link and learn how to gain an insider advantage for yourself today. Within hours of the coup, the U.S. and other European nations threatened Niger with massive sanctions until they restored President Bazoum to power. The military junta thus far, however, appears completely unfazed by such threats, and it's not hard to see why. It's not just Russia that's been extending financial ties with African nations such as Niger. More than any other nation on earth, it is now China that is the key economic player in Africa. When China launched its massive worldwide Belt and Road Initiative in 2013, the African continent soon became one of its largest beneficiaries. As such, China has lent African countries hundreds of billions of dollars to finance such projects as bridge building, high-speed rail systems, and modernized ports and expressways. For many Africans, the Belt and Road Initiative proves that China sees Africa more as a land of opportunity, a continent with massive economic and cultural promise that can be realized with appropriate investment. We're now seeing the fruits of this 10-year enterprise. African nations are no longer intimidated by the U.S. or Europe, and they're no longer intimidated because they're no longer financially dependent on the U.S. or Europe. China, Russia, and increasingly India have become major players on the geopolitical planet, and the result is that smaller nations like Niger are no longer subject to the manipulative whims of Western nations. This is also why more and more African nations are explicitly rejecting the West's wokeness. We saw this most recently when Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni signed into law one of the world's most stringent anti-LGBT legislations, sparking wide condemnation throughout the woke West. But Uganda is basically following suit with what virtually the whole of the African continent has been doing with LGBT identity politics. More than 30 African countries, including Uganda, already banned same-sex relations, but they're hardly alone. They're finding moral solidarity with nations like Russia, China, India, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, all of whom are forming a new political order that's far more conservative, more traditionalist, more religious than our woke leaders in the West could have ever imagined just a few short years ago. Already, African nations such as Eritrea and Burkina Faso have officially aligned themselves with the Russian Federation, and more are sure to follow. The old Western liberal world order is coming to an end. A new non-Western conservative world order is rising. The sooner we get rid of our ridiculous woke leaders, the sooner we'll be able to join and help lead just such a world. Are you ready to join the resistance? Because I'm leading a group of dedicated, courageous patriots who can lead a spearhead into the heart of the secular globalist establishment. We punished Bud Light and Target, driven CNN and the legacy media to near bankruptcy, forced BlackRock to backtrack on ESG, and now we're seeing our conservative-dominated Supreme Court ending affirmative action and protecting religious liberty. In my Insiders Club, I show you concrete steps to take locally and online that will only keep this mass uprising going until the battle is won. Don't wait. Click the link in my description below and join my Courageous Patriots Insiders Club today.